It sure felt a little odd not having a Packers game to watch this past weekend, especially so early in the season. Just gave us time to watch some other interesting games. Even though we have no game to recap, we're looking ahead to this weekend when we face the Bengals. We'll preview that game and get some feedback from all of you. All this and more coming up next on your Packers Fan Podcast.
Me, podcasting for 20 years, Wayne Henderson, and I'm excited that our Packers are going to be back at it because it seems like the bye week was almost a month. It's like a brand new season.
Brand new season. And I'm Scott Clark from the Gaming Outsider Podcast. Really hoping things get turned around this week, as I'd really like to have that confidence in the green and gold like I did after the first 2 weeks of the season. This time around, as I mentioned, we're going to be sharing your listener feedback about the coming week.
And then preview Sunday's Bengals at Packers game, including Scott's keys to a Packers victory, and this is going to be good. We also have our Wager-O-Fun game score guesses as well as some listener guesses too.
Absolutely. It's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to getting back into football that I care a little bit more about this week.
True that.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so with no game to recap, we're jumping all the way to the weekly poll question. Again, find it in our Facebook group at packerscommunity.com shortly after the game, when there is one, as well as on X at Packers Fan Pod. This week, just want to know your thoughts. Which facet of our Packers squad do you expect to shine brightest when they host the Bengals at Lambeau Field? Is it going to be Jordan Love? Is it going to be the receivers and tight ends? How about our defense? Or maybe will our special teams shine brightest? What say you, Scott?
Not special teams, but the easy answer against this offense is going to be our defense. They are going to rock the place. It's going to be insane what they're going to do to the Bengals offense.
I'd like to say the defense, but I think it's going to be the receivers and the tight ends, all of them. It's just going to be an explosion of offense. But all of that, of course, is thanks to Jordan Love. And after combining the votes from Twitter, X, as well as Facebook, 50% of the voters are with you, Scott. Defense is going to shine brightest. 38% are going with the receivers and tight ends, and 12% with Jordan Love. I kind of feel bad for special teams. No votes at all for them. Sorry.
No confidence there, man. Not alone.
We did get one comment on the poll from Dan Dyler saying it certainly won't be special teams. In fact, just as they have been for ages, they're a liability, even though the Packers have in their employ the highest paid special teams coach in the entire league, while always ranking in the bottom 5 squads. Ouch. Ouch, 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 ouch. So since we do have a game coming up this Sunday, want to remind you to join the Packers Fan Podcast Facebook group community. Be there because our live game chat section during the game ought to have a lot of fun chatter, I guess you could call it.
Absolutely. It was a good time last time. It was a little up and down for sure. It was quite a shootout, but and sadly the result wasn't what we wanted. But you guys can also be part of the Packers Fan Podcast. We want your insights after watching the game against the Bengals, but also please include your Wager-O-Fun score guess for the Week 7 Packers at Cardinals matchup. Let your voice be heard. There's a couple ways you can do that. First, you can record your voice, attach it to an email, and send to feedback at PackersFanPodcast.com, or by calling the PFP voicemail at +1 920 3PACK-GO. The deadline for your feedback is Sunday at midnight Central, so please send it in right away. Thank you, and go Pack Go. What do you got for voicemails this week, Wayne?
We've got one, and there are things to talk about. Let's get started with Mr. Dan Dyler.
Go, 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 Peck, go. Here's Captain Peck Sparrow with your Bengals preview edition. First of all, I want to clarify something from last week that Scott brought up, because I talked about the trick plays and the conservative play calling, or the conservative way that they were approaching the game versus Dallas. I'll let it to let Matt LaFleur's own words in a post-game presser. He said, if I'd known it was going to end that way, I'd have gone a lot faster. So with the conservative play calling, I was talking more towards the clock management and the slow pace of play. not necessarily the trick plays. Anyways, I'm going to go a little off script here because it's a bye week. We don't have a game to talk about that's already been played. I want to talk about the PFP Fantasy Football League. We have myself, Wixie Sticks, Sir Troy, the Anaheim Browns, and Musgrave Digger, who are all positioned to begin distancing themselves from the field with likely wins this week to improve to 4-1. The match of the week was Sir Troy versus Talk Like a Fan, a.k.a. Scott Clark. And Wixie Sticks, Sir Troy is all but assured to be victorious, eliminating Talk Like a Fan from the ranks of the teams with only one loss. With over 1/4 of the season in the books, there's, like I said, there's 4 teams that are going to be, looks like they'll be at 4-1, but there's still a lot of season left to be played. A lot of things can happen. Who knows? Don't stop that from making your waiver wire pickups or proposing trades to other teams. Great news on the Packer front. Christian Watson has been activated from the IR, and that puts him in a 3-week window. So, we might be able to see him as early as end of October and early November. That's awesome. Also, the same thing with Jacob Monk, center. Devontae Wyatt, Zach Tom, and Anthony Belton, they are all questionable to play this week. Want to go back to Christian Watson real quick. Apparently, he's been at full sprints for several weeks now, according to some of the Packer beat reporters. So that's awesome news. Going into the game, the Packers are 14.5 favorites, with an implied total of scoring of 43.5 points between the two teams. I was doing some research because I really didn't know what a lot of that meant with Vegas and how the implied point total and all that stuff works. But what they do is they establish a point total that they think cumulatively both teams will score. And like I said, that's 43.5. And what they do is they divide that by 2, and then whatever team is favored to win, they take that point total, which in this case is 14.5, and they divide that by 2. So that's basically 21.75 points for each team. And then the team that's favored, you add 7.25, and the team that's not favored, you subtract that. And that comes out to 29 to 14.5. Well, obviously you can't score a half point. So that's what Vegas is saying, 29 to 15, we'll say. I think the Bengals O-line is absolutely decimated, but so is ours. We're actually on our 13th offensive starting lineman. But then again, Chase Brown, their leading running back, he has only 160 yards in the entire season out of 5 games. Compare that to Josh Jacobs. Josh Jacobs has, I think, close to 300 yards in 4 games. On that same note, Jamar Chase is their leading wide receiver at 32 receptions for 374 yards. And our leading wide receiver is a tight end, Tucker Kraft, of course, 16 for 225. And that's in 4 games versus Jamar Chase's 5 games. So he's only, 150 yards off of one of the premier best wide receivers. And that just tells you that the woes that the Cincinnati Bengals are going through right now with the injury to Joe Burrow, their offensive line, their defense, which is, we're not, you don't have to say too much about that. And, with that being said, let's get down to brass tacks and kilts. Mr. Wayne Henderson, kilts. Yes, kilts. I don't care how many paper jams you have to clear. But anyways, my wager of fun guess is Packers 34, Bengals 14. Go, 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 Pack, go!
Go, Pack, go indeed. Thanks, Dan. As always, great to hear from you. Thanks for the clarification on the conservative play calling. That definitely cleared things up for me. I was very confused by that comment last week. As for fantasy football, Wayne, I don't know if you looked at my game.
No.
But I had 2 players with 90 points on my bench.
Who?
That I should not have played. One of them I never even heard of before. So it was just ridiculous. I played, let's see, Baker. I did not play Baker Mayfield. I played May from New England, and that wound up being a mistake. So I did not play Mayfield, so that would have gotten me like a good 20 points. And what's his name? Krosky Merritt, the running back from Washington, had 35 points. If I had swapped him out, I would have easily beaten beaten Sir Wayne, or Sir Troy, rather. But I did not. I mean, the points this week were ridiculous for me, and I've been dodging the injury issues. So I'm hoping I can gain some ground next week. But I won in. I'm going to win in my money league, and that's
Okay, money. Money. But speaking of injuries, Dan Dyler letting us know Christian Watson activated from IR, which at first I thought many might play this week, but I guess it's going to be a couple more weeks, maybe 3 or 4 even. But he could be back, and that is very much needed. We'll take all hands on deck.
Absolutely, although I don't expect to see him on the field for much longer. He's gonna get injured again. I'm sorry to be the naysay, but I just feel like he's been Mr. Glass for the past couple seasons, man. I'm happy to see him there, but I want to see him more often. I don't want to forget him.
No. Okay, we're gonna have to wait to see what happens. Dan explaining how the Vegas points system is derived to. That is more complicated than the quarterback rating.
I don't know about that, but I actually followed what he was saying. So
I did follow it, but I didn't know they did this. They divide it in half. They plus this. They minus this, and boom, the Packers are going to win 29-14.5 or something like that. But let's go ahead and preview the game, and we'll see if that is what the points are going to turn out to be. Because your 2-1-1 tie, Green Bay Packers, finally playing another game at Lambeau Field. It's been forever. And they are hosting the 2-3 Bengals of Cincinnati, Sunday, October 12th, 3:25 p.m. And although the Bengals have been around a long time, we've only played them 14 times.
That's crazy.
And, we tied the Cowboys a week or so ago. Well, the Packers and Bengals are tied in the all-time series 7-7. And, of course, speaking of ties, the last 2 times we've played the Bengals, both games went into overtime, so a tie was definitely on the table, but we can't go into overtime again this week, Scott. That's too much stress. Now, we did win those 2 games, so there was that, but overtime. The first time we ever played against Cincy was October 3rd, 1971, the same week that Maggie May by Rod Stewart was the #1 song in the U.S., the U.K., and many other nations. Our Packers absolutely kept the fans amused by beating the Bengals 20-17. And my most memorable game against the Bengals has to be September 20th, 1992. Our rising star quarterback, Don the Magic Man Majkowski, went down with injury in the first quarter. Backup quarterback Brett Favre came in off the bench, led the Packers to a 24-23 come-from-behind victory, and the rest, as they say, is history. And I found the full game on YouTube. I don't know how much longer it'll be there, but I'll link to that in the show notes at PackersFanPodcast.com. Do you have another Packers-Bengals game that's memorable for you, Scott?
No, that's the one that's the one you had for me. It was clearly when Brett Favre came back to win the game. It was pretty memorable. I actually have I actually gifted it to somebody else. I had Brett Favre's, not his rookie card, although I did have several of his rookie cards, but I had his first card of him as a Packer, the first year as a Packer. It was actually more valuable than his rookie card in Atlanta. And it was in my collection for a long time. It was valuable at one point. I don't think sports cards are nearly what they used to be worth. But yeah, I remember that year. I was 12 when that happened, man.
Oh, my.
That's how long ago that was.
I was older, and a friend at work was all excited, which is sad to say because he's a Bears fan. Why he was my friend, I don't know. But anyway, he was so excited that Don Majkowski went down because he said, you know what, you guys are toast. This Favre kid, come on. So
everybody said that about Rodgers too.
Yeah. Who got the last laugh? Us.
Yeah.
The weather.
For 15 years.
For 50, at least. And we're going to get the last laugh on Jordan Love as well. And the weather this Sunday at La 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 Lambeau looks to be perfect. October weather for football. Just a few clouds under a 66-degree sky at kickoff. That's about 18 degrees Celsius. So, there's not much to say unless the weather forecast changes between now and then, Scott. So with that in mind, what will our Packers have to do to beat the Bengals and get back on track.
Keeping it simple this week, first off, strategy number one is going to be take advantage of the quarterback situation. Jake Browning has been taking snaps since Joe Burrow went down with I believe it's a turf toe injury, and it hasn't been going well since then. He's thrown 8 interceptions in 3 games, which is the second highest in the league. Still not even sure if Browning's going to be starting, as Cincinnati hasn't committed either way. You know, regardless if they play with him or if they play with someone else brand new that's going to have to learn how the team works, we're going to have an advantage when it comes to this. So defense, you know what to do. Parsons soaks up the double team, allows the rest of the line to pressure Browning and force turnovers. Pretty simple. Strategy number 2, we mentioned it already, but special teams. This has got to be the, quote, get right game for special teams, who have been slowly slipping into a rut early on this season. It quite literally lost the Packers the win last week. Fundamental football includes punts, kickoffs, and field goals. 0 mistakes this week, guys, please. And then strategy number 3, for the love of all that is holy, don't get overconfident. The Browns and the Cowboys games should have been wins for us, but the team got 2 wins at home under their belt and felt invincible. Coming out of the bye, there's absolutely 0 room for assuming this is a gimme win. Play as if you're playing for a playoff spot, because after a loss and a tie, it sure feels like this game is more important than most Week 6 games in the past. Strike fast, strike early, and strike often. And there you have it.
Thank you very much, Scott. Those are fantastic. And when you say strike often, I hope that means very, very often.
In the words of Dan Dialer, a 40 burger?
Which we got and tied. But hey, things are going pretty well. How are things looking for guesstimating the score this week, Scott?
Well, I mean, the standings with you and I going into Week 6 is you with 1 win, me with none, and we have 1 tie, which is just insane. We're getting close to like a third of the way through the season here. It is a third of the way through the season. So you're winning by 1. So as of right now, if the season ended, I would be wearing a kilt to school tomorrow. But that's not going to happen. So I'm going to turn things around here by the end of the season, and then we'll find a kilt for you. On the listener side, still first place tie between David Hawkins and Jay Walters, and that's it. And that goes to our predictions for this week. I'm shooting for the moon. I think that I'm not going to go quite as high as a 40 burger, but I am going to go with a 30 burger and say Green Bay is going to win 30-20 against Cincinnati. How about you, Wayne? I
do like those round numbers, but I'm going to go with Packers winning 28-17.
Interesting. And let's see what the listeners had to say. First off, Joe Christensen says, I think the Bengals will struggle on offense. They have a decent defense, but we have a bye week to gel our offense. Green Bay 31, Cincinnati 17. Garrett Stritzel says Green Bay 33, Cincinnati 10. Brett Connor says 24-20 in favor of Green Bay, and Jay Walters says Green Bay 28, Cincinnati 21.
And Dan Dialer coming in, you heard him on the voicemail, 34-14. So as long as the final score is not like 9-9, tie. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to win. The NFC North, it's a jumbled mess right now with bye weeks and ties and stuff, but the Lions are 4-1. That is no good. The Packers are 2-1-1 coming off our bye. The Vikings are in third place at 3-2 per ESPN. That makes them third place. And the Bears are 2-2 coming off their bye.
Tight division.
Way too
Pretty tight.
Way too tight. We need to get some separation going starting this week. Another thing that jumped out at me around the NFL was the Ravens and Derrick Henry. They really miss Lamar Jackson because that was pathetic. And so does
demolished.
And so does my Packers Fan Podcast Fantasy Football League team, because Lamar Jackson, I had to put him on the bench, and Derrick Henry didn't do all that much. So there's that. And the Texans and Vikings are going into their bye weeks, so adjust your fantasy teams as needed.
Real quick, want to remind everybody about my other podcast. You heard me talk about at the top of the show, The Gaming Outsider. If you love video games, you want to check it out. We got a new episode out this week, and we are discussing Microsoft's controversial decision to raise the price of Game Pass significantly. We're talking by 50%. They raised it in some tiers.
Whoa.
Zach also played a huge release this week called The Ghost of Yotei, which Wayne will appreciate since it takes place in Japan. It's a sequel to a fantastic Ghost of Tsushima. You can hear my show at the same places you listen to this one, and you can also find our website at thegamingoutsider.com. And also, this is the last week you will hear me talk this year about R2V2, the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention, which is a game convention that I put together here in good old Rockford, Illinois. It's going to take place this Saturday, October 11th from 8 to 5. We have almost filled capacity. We have one more vendor booth still available. So if you know anybody that wants to sell games or show off their game or anything like that, we've got one more spot left for you. It's packed to the gills. We're going to have people selling video games. We're going to have people showing off the video games they've made. We're going to have arcade cabinets available for free play. There's going to be VR laser tag. There's going to be video game tournaments. There's going to be a cosplay contest, rock band karaoke. There's even going to be an after party with 4 live bands playing video game tunes for your entertainment. It's going to be awesome. Check out details at thegamingoutsider.com/R2V2, or you can also go to r2v22025.eventbrite.com, and you can pre-order your tickets if you'd like to join us. And there you have it.
That sounds fantastic, Scott. Best of luck this weekend at the event. And this cosplay, is this where you're going to be trying out to make sure your kilt fits you correctly?
Oh, they all fit, man. Kills look good on me. I can pull them off. You know what I'm saying? I won't, but I can pull it off. Thanks for continuing to support your Packers Fan Podcast via Patreon. Deals on how to join at PackersFanPodcast.com/give back. Got to give some shout outs. First off, Jay Walters. Your Bart Star level support definitely warrants a thank you and a Go Pack Go. Dan Dowler, Go Pack Go, and thank yous for your Jordan Love level patronage. We do appreciate it.
Indeed. And put her in the old vice in sending thank yous and Go Pack Goes to these supporters at the Brett Favre inspired level. Miguel Ramirez from the Opposites Attract podcast, Scott Bors, and Megan. Also, Go Pack Go and thank you to these Lambo level patrons. Hank Davis, he's got the free Podcast Tools YouTube channel. Also, Brett Connor and Joe Christensen. If interested in joining in, check out all the details. Again, it's at PackersFanPodcast.com/give back. The Unofficial Packers Fan Podcast, not affiliated with the NFL or the Green Bay Packers, but please tell even more of your friends about the Packers Fan Podcast, because after this bye week, it's like an all new season and it's going to be full bore all the way to, you know.
And if you'd like to follow us on social media, you can follow us on Twitter, which is at Packers Fan Pod, or you can follow me personally at GoCastScott, or The Gaming Outsider at The GoCast, and Wayne is at Wayne Henderson. So here's PFP community members Megan, Dan Dowler, Joe Christensen, and Andre in LA with their Go Pack Go outro to get us ready for Bengals at Packers.
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go Pack Go!
Go, 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 Pack, go!